Well, a very good evening to you. You are just in time for Walking the Talk. My name is Catherine Achenga. Now, this evening on Walking the Talk, we are going to be focusing on what I like to call the 3 C's. I'm talking about counterfeits, contrabands, and copyright. Where exactly do these 3 fit into the ongoing war on graft, and how are we losing billions of shillings as a result of these 3? Well, that is the discussion that I will be having this evening. But before I introduce you to the gentlemen who are joining me in studio, who will be giving us more insights on what really they're doing in the continued fight against graft, the challenges, and of course the way forward when it comes to addressing this particular issues, I will quickly be crossing over to Safin, who is on the other side of the studio, who can give you some of the lines where you too can be able to interact with us and give us your feedback. Over to you, Safin, and good evening to you.
Good evening to you, and good evening to our viewers. I hope you're keeping high standards of hygiene at this particular time, wherever you are. Thank you so much for creating time to watch Walking the Talk. My name is Safina Cheng Ouma. At Safin_Cheng is where you find me on Twitter. At KBC Channel 1 is our official Twitter handle. At Kato Achenga, that's where you find us. Use the hashtag Walking the Talk. Let me begin this conversation with some numbers for you to understand a bit about what we want to talk about. I'll do this very quickly. Now, this is a report by Frontier Economics. This is an international economics research firm that did this report, and according to what they say is that cost of underground economy. By underground economy here we are talking about counterfeit and piracy, and this could reach an estimated $1.9 trillion by the year 2020. They projected this, and counterfeiting and piracy together are projected to drain about $4.2 trillion from the global economy. Let me bring this closer home. For those of you who are concerned about job losses, the report further goes to say that 5.4 million legitimate jobs will be at risk by 2022 as a result of counterfeit and piracy. Bringing it to East Africa, this is another report not by Frontier Economics but by Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It estimated that in the year 2008, the East African community lost over $500 million in tax revenue annually due to counterfeiting. Now you can look at that figure and just see how much it can be able to change the lives of people in East Africa. And the trends in trade in counterfeit and pirated goods, another report that was done by the OECD, according to this new report, and it says that in counterfeit and pirated goods, the trade now stands at about 3.3% of the global trade. This is about $509 billion. Just to look at the estimates compared to what was there in 2013, which according to the trade in counterfeit was $461 billion, which was about 2.5% of the world trade. Now looking at the numbers from 2.5 in 2013 to 3.3% in 2016 shows that this is increasing, and we need to do more in curbing this particular type of trade. Now, potential risk of fake goods include infringing on the trademarks and copyright, of course, of original manufacturers, profits for organized crime gangs, now creating profits for them. Who knows what they could do with this money? Health and safety risks that involve goods like medical supplies, car parts, toys, foods, and cosmetics. You've had cases of cosmetical products that cause issues of skin cancer and the likes. This is as a result of counterfeits. Now, the question we are asking you today, what can be done to eliminate counterfeit products in the market? You've seen the possible risks that this poses on us. So what can be done to eliminate counterfeit products in the market? So be part of this conversation at KBC Channel 1 is where you can be able to communicate with us. The hashtag we're using is Walking the Talk. I will be sampling some of your comments as we continue with this conversation. Today we are not having our live studio audience, courtesy of what is going on. We are trying to take precautionary measures at such a time. So we invite you, wherever you're catching the program from, to just be part of the conversation online. Tweet and write on Facebook your comment, your opinion, any question you have for our panelists. I will make sure that gets to them. Back to you, Achenga.
All right, thank you very much, Safin. Of course, give us your feedback. She will be back to sample what you have to say. But for now, let me introduce you to the gentlemen who are joining me in studio this evening. I'll begin to my immediate left, where we have with us Edward Sigei, who is the Executive Director at the Kenya Copyright Board. It's good to have you with us this evening.
Asante sana.
Well, next to him, we have Elema Halake, who is the Executive Director at the Anti-Counterfeit Authority. It's good to have you with us this evening as well.
My pleasure being here.
All right, I want to start with what I'm calling the 3 Cs, counterfeits, contrabands, and copyrights. So I'll start first with the first two, the contrabands and counterfeits. What really is the difference between those two? Halake.
Okay. So in broad terms, anything illegal, and particularly as pertains to products, can be classified as contraband. And counterfeiting is just one aspect of the contraband.
Yeah.
So contraband can range from counterfeiting, substandard goods. It can also range to tax evasion issues, infringement of copyrights. These are all the different examples of, of contraband when we speak, on this subject. But counterfeiting is a special area in the sense that counterfeiting is infringement of intellectual property rights. What this means is that infringement of intellectual property right speaks to the invention somebody has made.
Yes.
And therefore, if it is, a particular product which has been created or invented by an individual, and, some other people will come in and present themselves and present certain goods to copy exactly what is already existing, registered and protected, that is when we can say...
They try to pass it off as the original.
Pass it over as an original, as an original product.
Okay.
And that is therefore what counterfeiting is.
And the contraband?
Contraband is, in broad terms, anything illegal, any illegal product or any illegal act, in terms of infringement, in terms of copyright, in terms of tax evasions, on and on. So the broad definition is anything illegal, and anything in this case must be a product.
Okay.
Yes.
Edward, is that where now copyright comes in?
Copyright comes in even under the term counterfeiting.
Yeah.
And as you heard from Malaki, contraband goods includes counterfeit and pirated products.
Yeah.
So I think in a sense we are talking about two things. Anything illegal in breach of any law that has been brought or being traded in breach of any law is a contraband. Anything that is in breach or an infringement of intellectual property, be it a trademark, be it a copyright, be it a brand variety, be it a design right, all those are called counterfeits. And for copyright specifically, the definition is called, the products are called pirated products.
Pirated products.
So when you hear the term counterfeit, it to some extent defines what the theft of copyright items. So the issue with counterfeit is about authority to produce. Because all these are rights belonging to a certain someone, a corporate or an individual.
Yeah.
But then some people take that item and produce it, take out the trademark without authority of the person, take out the copies of the copyright work without authority of the person, take out the items, plant variety, breeds without authority of the person.
But how good are we as Kenyans when it comes to copyrighting, our original works? There's always been the issue that we don't. If I use, like the famous Shondo story.
Let me start from the beginning, actually. Shondo has been with us for a long time, and is actually a fake story. Because Kyondo, for you to get a patent for a product, you have to go through a process called a global search. Even when an item has been referred to in an article, it cannot then be patentable. So people have been going on and on and on about the story of Shondo. Shondo has always been known to exist, has been written about. So there is no way a Japanese would have been able to get a patent for Kyondo for that reason. But they could have gotten, I heard they got a patent for a machine to make kiondo instead of using the hand. So that one doesn't take away from us kiondo at all. So as such, Kenyans are very good at safeguarding their rights. There are several patents that are registered annually. Kenya is one of the countries that has the best patent, let's say, database.
In terms of numbers, what are we looking at? Like
it doesn't go beyond 50 a year patents because the patent process of a patent takes like 3 years. It takes a lot of money. It takes, as I said, it's a very thin line, and you are off the patentability standard.
Okay.
If you go to copyright, copyright doesn't require registration of any sort. And every day, as you are writing your article for this program, as I'm writing a newspaper column, I'm posting stuff on my blog. Yeah. I'm a copyright holder, and it comes automatically. Okay. Every year, Kenyans have also put in a number of applications for trademarks. There are indigenous trademarks in Kenya.
So what is the process for trademarking a product? How long does it take?
The process could be about 12 months, conservatively. It means that somebody first does a search for the logo or the brand they want. Then after the search is done, then they publish. There is a publication of it for people to know that so and so intends to file a trademark. Thereafter, the application is made formally again, and then it's registered. So it's like a 3 to 4 step point. So what a trademark person, an applicant should know is that his trademark should not be deceptive to the public. Because it is a trademark is what goes to the public to speak about the source of the product and the owner of that product. So it's always tested against what is already registered and what is already in the market. So anything that is deceptive will not be registered. Okay. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about the period in just a bit, but I want to go back to you, Halake, to look at, in terms of, we've seen Stafin giving statistics of, how rampant the problem is. But when it comes to your agency, what would you say the numbers look like, and how can we change those numbers when it comes to counterfeits particularly? Okay. Because that's our biggest problem.
Yes. I think it is true that counterfeiting globally is a problem. It is true that we have a similar problem here in Kenya, and nothing really unique to the Kenyan situation. Yeah. We are just, I think as a country, we have recognized this problem. We talk about it, we are doing something about it, and that is probably why why we are able to talk about it. Otherwise, in many other countries, while it is still a serious problem, probably serious than what we have here, but
how much are we losing, annually?
In terms of figures, we are talking about the figures before 2011. We are talking about 40% of what we import are counterfeits. But over the years and up to now, because of the measures we put in, we've been able to bring down these figures, going progressively almost up to 20%. So we can, we can say 20% of the goods we import into the country, and probably what we have in the market, is counterfeit. And that is a huge portion, of the goods we have in the market. Yes.
What about clamping down on contrabands? How progressive have you been?
Again, what I can confirm is that recently, last year, we have undertaken a survey on this, and very soon we are expecting the results. But the figures runs into hundreds of billions, globally, in terms of illicit products. So, but that can now be broken down to, the different types of illicit, and in this case, counterfeiting is where I'm saying 20% is where we stand at today. Yes.
So how is it affecting, our economy when it comes to manufacturing?
Very seriously, counterfeiting is a serious problem because one, as rightly stated earlier on, it has health and safety concerns. And you are talking about, pharmaceuticals, you are talking about food products, you are talking about cosmetics. So these are serious health and safety concerns, and therefore it's not something which we really want to, to deal with. Secondly, it has serious issues when it comes to, for manufacturers. We are trying to grow our own capacity, our own manufacturing, industries. And what counterfeiting does is that it competes unfavorably with our local market. There will be market share which will be lost to counterfeiting, and therefore undermines, our own capacity to industrialization, and more importantly, again, there will be losses of jobs, there will be revenue losses for government, there will be, it will undermine generally economy. So
which is the biggest, product that currently is being counterfeited that you have to deal with?
Quite a range of products, and broadly we can say counterfeiters target fast-moving products. Fast-moving products, because a counterfeiter objective, his interest is to make quick money, is to get rich very quickly. So therefore, counterfeiters will go for fast-moving products, and these will include, electronics, electrical products, beauty products, cosmetics in that case. It will talk about food products. We'll talk about spares. You can talk about spare parts. So it will be a range of products, but the general trend is that they are going for fast-moving products. All right.
When it comes to counterfeiting, copyright rather, when someone invents something, let's say I come up with some invention, and I want it protected, against counterfeiting. Is there a particular procedure in which you can go? Because we've seen people invent, then later on they come back. Once the product is big, they start saying, I came up with the original idea. So can you secure the idea as you continue?
When you talk of copyright, you talk of a creator or an author. Those are the industry terms. So so it could be a musician or the person who writes programs or who writes a book, who prepares a film. Those are our authors. So for us, as I said, copyright does not require registration, but we have a voluntary registration system, even an online process within our website. That means that while copyright registration is not compulsory, it is highly desirable and advisable for the purposes of enforcing to have a copyright registration certificate. Secondly, it's also very important for a person, a creator or an author, to retain a record of their original works, transcript for the purposes of proof in court. And of course, the third thing is to be alert. In all this, we are talking about counterfeits and stuff and pirate products. The person against whom the offense is being committed against is the owner or the rights holder. The person who owns the rights to the trademark, the person who owns the rights to the plant breeder's rights, or the person who owns the right to a copyright work. And they are the people who need to monitor the market for the purposes of infringement of any form, and report the counterfeiting. So we do encourage people, because government does not know what your product looks like, what your brand looks like, or what you have made and put it in the market. And so monitoring of the consumer trends should be able to tell you that your product is facing counterfeiting. And then you need to report then. Therefore, and his office and my office are playing a very concurrent role in this area. And we have enforcement in place. But I think the biggest issue really for me is really the user or the consumer awareness.
Yeah.
Many people, we are price conscious, and we are economy is
the
depressed.
cheaper it is, the better.
Yes, but then it's no excuse for you to make a choice in favor of a counterfeit product or a pirate product. It's better to get a genuine product.
Okay.
It saves you time, and it's more long lasting to have something you have a warranty for a product that is not counterfeit. But
all right, we'll be talking about perhaps
choices,
some of the the cases that you've had and that you've taken to court when it comes to copyright infringement. But first, I want us to quickly go over to Safin to get feedback from our social media on what Kenyans are saying regarding our ongoing discussion. Safin?
Thank you so much, Achenga. Already on social media, a lot of reactions are coming through. Remember, we asked our viewers what can be done to eliminate counterfeit products in the market, and of course, any other opinion that you could be having concerning the topic that you're discussing today. At KBC Channel 1 is the Twitter handle. The hashtag is Walking the Talk. And just to sample a few, Jake Ton Taik, you say, a majority of legit products are too expensive for us. That's why counterfeits are an easy option. Can't the pricing be addressed? That's a question you're posing. Thank you for that. And Raburu Brian, you say, enhanced screening of small parcels sent by post and express courier, which is often conduit for counterfeit goods. Thank you for that feedback. Continue sharing your views with us. We will be sampling more as they come. There's one that has just come in on Facebook. As a leader, I believe that contraband and counterfeit can be dealt with by state through state organs if we have competent people. All our borders are porous to those who have enough money to buy officers managing such borders. We close Mumias just to bring illegal sugar. Our SMEs engage a lot in counterfeit imports from China at the expense of local manufacturers. Buy Kenya initiative doesn't make enough milestones as expected, since people bring contraband goods, then we rebrand them to local brands like Mumias or Sony Sugar. Something needs to be done. Thank you so much for your comment. I will be taking more as we continue with this particular programming. Remember, at KBC Channel 1 is where you can sample your views. The hashtag we're using is Walking the Talk. We will be taking a very short break. When we come back, we sample more of your views, and the discussion continues with Catherine Achenga.
All right, we'll not be taking that break right now, Safin, but we'll be getting back to it in just a bit. But I want you, Halake, to quickly respond to, the question that has been raised, particularly regarding our porous borders and also accusations that it is us Kenyans, those who are tasked with this responsibility, who allow these contrabands and counterfeits to come in.
Okay, so I think the point on porous border, I think is a fact, and particularly our land borders. We have only very few designated border points, and therefore we are not covering the entire of the border. So the question of porosity of the border, I think this is something which, as government, we have recognized. And what we've been able to do is that government has taken an all-inclusive approach to dealing with this problem. And to deal with this, we are doing a lot of patrols, a lot of surveillance over these borders, while we also strengthen border measures where they are designated borders. So this is, I think, an important point which has been raised, and as government, we are taking recognition of this, and we are doing something about it. Now, the question around why do we have, counterfeits in the country? I think somebody has mentioned around price and so on.
Yes.
So the fact of the matter is that there is demand for counterfeits. And there are various reasons for this demand, by the consumers. Some of this demand have something to do with the price, disparity. That counterfeit products are generally going to sell cheaper than the original brands. But what we are not taking into account is what it costs you to buy the counterfeit product. Because you'll buy a counterfeit phone, for example, and it will be just a matter of days before it ceases to work. So there will be loss of your own, money buying something which you intended to use over time, but then it doesn't serve, the purpose. Not to mention the health and safety concerns, and so on. So therefore, I think generally this is a problem we have recognized, and the issue around how we are dealing with it and us allowing it in.
Yes.
I think first, it is not a government policy that we have people who do this, but certainly there are elements within those borders who may be allowing things like this, to allow what need not to be allowed in. And therefore, what government has done is, first we've taken, as I said, a multi-agency approach to dealing with matters related to illicit generally, and counterfeiting is part of it. So it is no longer around KRA, it's no longer around anti-counterfeit authority or copyright officers. We are working together. Now what this does is that it minimizes the chances of compromise. So this is one key step government has taken in the recent time. The second thing is that, we also deal with matters related to, compromising officers or corruption very, very seriously as government and as agencies. Thirdly, which is very, very important, is that we have frequent changeovers in those border points to ensure that people don't get used to the system and get used to the people there. Just to make sure that, a counterfeiter will get used to an individual officer before he starts compromising it. So these are some of the measures that as government we put in place.
All right.
Yes.
Edward, your immediate reaction, to the feedback from the public, even as you give us in terms of the way forward as the Kenya Copyright Board.
All right. Just to say that the government has taken this matter seriously. You heard about the multi-agency approach. And I think what is important is that everybody now, every officer at a point is responsible for everything. Enforcement for the purposes of counterfeits and to a limited extent piracy is a diffused function. From the public health officer at the locational office, is also an anti-counterfeit officer, for instance. The person who is in charge of veterinary and agriculture at the divisional level is also an anti-counterfeit officer. So everybody is responsible. So that helps us in, creating a net for us. But most importantly, I think the other thing that we have had to do separately and in conjunction with the ACA is to train judicial and police officers and customs, because these are the people at the point of call. They are the first people the items will land on their desk before it comes to anti-counterfeit officer at the point of entry. So the police in their rounds always see these things, but if they do not know how to enforce anti-counterfeit act or the Copyright Act, they cannot act around it. So we have had to train these people to understand the theoretical frameworks and stuff like that, and the charges and the penalties. Similarly, that's also what has had to be done with judicial officers. Judicial officers have had to be trained on advocacy level, really, because they are mostly lawyers. So these are the training that we have had.
That is what you want to do, looking for.
It has been going on. You mentioned 2011, which is a significant date because that's when ACA came, but we had been around for about 3 years at that time. So
our time is up.
Sorry.
I'll have to cut you short, but we appreciate you finding time to, of course, be with us this evening. We weren't able to exhaust everything because of time, but I hope we'll have you back later on so that we can be able to finish up what we have left unfinished this evening. But we do appreciate you finding time. Of course, we have been talking to Edward Sigei, who is the Executive Director at the Kenya Copyright Board. We also had with us Elema Halake, who is the Executive Director at the Anti-Counterfeit Authority, just giving us some of the perspectives of what these two different agencies are doing in terms of trying to fight graft, particularly when it comes to issues surrounding counterfeits, copyright, intellectual property, as well as contrabands that continue to be one of the biggest challenges in the continued war on graft. We have to put a cap on the program this evening. My name is Catherine Chenga. Thank you for watching. Over to you, Safin, as we completely wrap up the show.
It's been awesome doing this, and thank you so much to our panelists who have shed light on what people need to understand concerning counterfeit and illegal trade. Finally, just to take one tweet from Lumumba_Brian at KBC Channel 1, great program. How can one differentiate original and counterfeit products? Hashtag walking the talk. Thank you for that question. I saw a tweet by the Kenya Copyright Board, hashtag walking the talk. Anything that is in infringement of intellectual property laws is a counterfeit and a contraband. I believe that should shed light on the question asked by Lumumba. Thank you so much, all of you who've sent their questions and their views on social media. Because of time, we cannot sample all of them, but be sure to catch the next episode next Sunday as we do this again, as we walk our talk on the war against graft in the country. My name is Safina Cheng Oma. I'll see you next time.